My friend, one of the most powerful lessons in life is this. The day you stop waiting for someone to rescue you is the day your life truly begins. The moment you take responsibility, everything starts to change. You know, one of the greatest turning points in a person's life comes when they finally accept a simple truth. Nobody is responsible for creating their future except them. That's a powerful realization because for so many years, people spend their lives waiting. They wait for someone to believe in them. They wait for the perfect opportunity. They wait for a lucky break. They wait for circumstances to improve. And while they're waiting, time keeps moving. The challenge is not that opportunities are rare. The challenge is that too many people place the responsibility for their lives into someone else's hands. They think their employer should create their success. They think their family should solve their problems. They think society should make everything easier. But the moment you give away responsibility, you also give away power. If you want to change your life, you must begin by saying, "From this day forward, I am responsible." Not partially responsible, not occasionally responsible, completely responsible. Now, that doesn't mean everything that happens to you is your fault. Life will bring disappointments. Life will bring setbacks. Life will bring unexpected challenges. But even when you cannot control what happens, you can always control what you do next. That's where your power lives. Successful people understand this principle. They don't spend their days asking, "Why is this happening to me?" Instead, they ask, "What can I do about it?" That's a different question. One question creates excuses. The other creates solutions. I've learned that when you take responsibility, something remarkable happens. You stop wasting energy blaming circumstances. You stop waiting for permission. You stop looking around for someone to rescue you. And all that energy that was once spent complaining can now be invested in progress. The person who accepts responsibility becomes a student. They start learning new skills. They start reading better books. They start improving their habits. They begin making small decisions that gradually change the direction of their life. And here's what is fascinating. At first, those changes seem insignificant. Waking up a little earlier, being more disciplined with your time, keeping your promises to yourself, learning something new every day. These actions may not look dramatic, but over time they create extraordinary results. You see, success is not one giant step. Success is a series of small responsibilities handled well, day after day, week after week, month after month. The reason many people never reach their potential is because they keep waiting for someone else to carry a burden that belongs to them. But the day you decide to carry your own burden, the day you decide to take ownership of your choices, your habits, your attitude, and your future, everything begins to shift. Your life changes when you stop asking who is going to help you and start asking what you are going to do next. Because the moment you accept full responsibility for your life is the moment you finally take control of it. Once you've accepted responsibility for your life, the next step is to build something incredibly valuable, self-reliance. And let me tell you, self-reliance is one of the greatest assets a person can possess. Why? Because life will not always provide support when you need it. There will be times when encouragement is absent, when advice is unavailable, and when nobody seems to understand the journey you're on. In those moments, the ability to depend on yourself becomes priceless. Many people spend years looking for confidence, but confidence doesn't appear out of nowhere. Confidence comes from keeping promises to yourself. It comes from proving again and again that you can be counted on. Not by others first, but by yourself. Think about it. Every time you tell yourself you're going to do something and then follow through, you strengthen trust in your own abilities. Every time you face a challenge without running away from it, you become a little stronger. Every time you solve a problem instead of waiting for someone else to solve it, you develop another layer of self-reliance. The truth is, strength is not built during easy seasons. Strength is built when things become difficult. It's built when you have to make decisions without knowing exactly how everything will turn out. It's built when you continue moving forward despite uncertainty. Now, don't misunderstand me. There is nothing wrong with learning from others. There is nothing wrong with seeking advice or accepting help. Wise people do both. But there is a difference between accepting help and depending on help. One makes you stronger. The other can make you weaker if you're not careful. Some people become trapped in a cycle of waiting. They wait for approval before taking action. They wait for someone to encourage them before pursuing a dream. They wait for perfect conditions before making a move. And while they wait, opportunities quietly pass by. Self-reliant people operate differently. They understand that not every answer will be available before they begin. They trust themselves enough to take the first step and figure out the rest along the way. They don't require certainty to move forward. They require commitment. And here's what happens when you develop that mindset. Problems stop looking like roadblocks and start looking like assignments. Instead of asking, who can fix this? You begin asking, how can I fix this? That simple shift changes everything. Little by little, your belief in yourself grows. Not because someone gave it to you, but because you earned it. You faced challenges, you made mistakes, you learned lessons, you adapted, you improved. And every experience became evidence that you are capable of more than you once believed. That's the beauty of self-reliance. It doesn't make you isolated. It makes you resilient. It gives you the confidence to keep going when applause disappears, when support fades, and when the road becomes lonely. Because at the end of the day, one of the most powerful things you can say is this: no matter what happens, I trust myself to find a way forward. And that is when true strength begins. Now, after you've accepted responsibility for your life and developed the ability to rely on yourself, there comes another challenge that stops more people than almost anything else. It's the habit of waiting until they feel ready. You see, many people have good intentions. They have dreams. They have goals. They have plans. They know what they want to achieve. The problem is not a lack of desire. The problem is that they keep postponing action. They tell themselves, I'll start when I have more confidence. I'll begin when I have more experience. I'll take the chance when everything is lined up perfectly. But life has a way of teaching us a difficult lesson. Perfect conditions rarely arrive. If you study successful people, you'll discover something interesting. Most of them didn't begin when they felt ready. They began when they felt uncertain. They began when they still had questions. They began when they still had doubts. The difference is they refused to let uncertainty stop them. Too many people believe courage comes first and action comes second. But in reality, action comes first and courage follows. You don't become brave by thinking about being brave. You become brave by acting despite your fear. Think about learning to ride a bicycle. Nobody learns by reading 10 books about balance. Nobody learns by spending years studying the mechanics of movement. Eventually, you have to get on the bicycle and start pedaling. You might wobble, you might fall, but every attempt teaches you something. Life works much the same way. The first business idea won't be perfect. The first speech won't be perfect. The first project won't be perfect. The first attempt at any worthwhile goal is usually far from perfect. But perfection is not the requirement for success. Progress is. One reason people hesitate is because they fear mistakes. They think mistakes are evidence of failure. But mistakes are actually evidence of action. And action is where growth takes place. I've often noticed that successful people don't necessarily make fewer mistakes than everyone else. Sometimes they make more. The difference is they make their mistakes moving forward. They learn, adjust, and continue. Meanwhile, others remain stuck because they're trying to avoid every possible error before they begin. And in trying to avoid mistakes, they accidentally avoid progress. Here's a powerful question to ask yourself. What could happen if you started today instead of waiting another year? Not next month, not when circumstances improve, not when you feel more comfortable. Today, because every great achievement begins with a small step. A phone call, a decision, a commitment, a single action repeated consistently over time. Success is rarely about giant leaps. It's about daily movement. Small actions accumulate, small disciplines accumulate, small improvements accumulate, and eventually, those small actions create results that seem extraordinary to everyone else. The tragedy is not failing. The tragedy is never beginning. There will always be reasons to wait. There will always be excuses available. But the people who build remarkable lives understand something that others do not. They know that the future belongs to those who are willing to start before they feel ready, because the path becomes clear only after you begin walking it. Now, once you've taken responsibility for your life, learn to rely on yourself, and develop the courage to act before you feel ready, you'll eventually encounter another challenge. In fact, this challenge appears on every worthwhile journey. It's the day when motivation disappears. And believe me, that day always comes. There are days when you'll feel excited about your goals. You'll wake up energized. You'll feel focused. Everything seems possible. But there will also be days when the excitement is gone. Days when progress feels slow. Days when you question yourself. Days when you'd rather do anything except the work that needs to be done. That's why motivation alone is never enough. Motivation is wonderful when it's present, but it's unreliable. It comes and goes like the weather. If your success depends entirely on feeling motivated, then your progress will always be inconsistent. The most successful people understand something important. They don't build their lives around motivation. They build their lives around discipline. Discipline is making a decision once and honoring that decision repeatedly. It's choosing to do what needs to be done, even when your emotions suggest otherwise. Think about it. If farmers only planted crops when they felt inspired, there would be very little harvest. If athletes only trained when they felt excited, championships would never be won. If leaders only showed up when they felt confident, very few people would follow them. The difference between average results and extraordinary results is often found in the ability to keep going after the feelings fade. You see, anybody can work hard for a day. Almost anybody can stay committed for a week. But the real test is consistency. Can you continue when nobody is watching? Can you continue when the rewards haven't appeared yet? Can you continue when the results are delayed? That's where discipline becomes valuable. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is a form of self-respect. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you're sending a message to your mind. You're saying, my word matters, my commitments matter, my future matters. And every time you break a promise to yourself, you're sending a different message. The small choices you make every day may seem insignificant, but they are shaping your character. Character is not built during special occasions. Character is built in ordinary moments. It's built when the alarm clock rings and you get up anyway. It's built when you'd rather quit but choose to continue. It's built when distractions are everywhere, yet you remain focused on your purpose. Most people are searching for a shortcut. They're looking for a secret formula. They're hoping success will somehow become easier. But success has always responded to the same principles. Consistent effort, repeated action, daily discipline. The remarkable thing is that discipline gets easier over time. At first, it feels difficult because you're fighting old habits. But eventually, the things that once required effort become part of who you are. And when discipline becomes part of your identity, you no longer need constant motivation to move forward. You simply do what needs to be done. Because winners are not determined by how they feel on their best days. They are determined by what they do on their worst days. As you continue this journey of taking responsibility, relying on yourself, acting before you feel ready, and developing discipline, you'll eventually discover something that surprises many people. Some of the most important chapters of your life will be lived alone. Now, when I say alone, I don't necessarily mean physically alone. I mean those seasons when very few people understand what you're trying to accomplish. Those seasons when encouragement is limited. Those seasons when the crowd disappears and you're left face to face with your own thoughts, your own doubts, and your own decisions. Most people spend their lives trying to avoid those moments. They fear solitude because they mistake it for failure. They assume that if they feel alone, something must be wrong. But often, the opposite is true. Many of life's greatest transformations happen in private. The seed grows underground before anyone sees it. The tree develops its roots before it reaches toward the sky. In much the same way, people often experience their greatest growth during seasons that nobody else notices. The world celebrates visible success, but it rarely sees the invisible preparation that came first. Every successful person has experienced moments when they had to continue without applause. Moments when they had to believe in their vision before anyone else believed in it. Moments when they had to keep working even though there was little evidence that their efforts would pay off. Those moments are not obstacles to success. They are part of the process. You see, solitude has a way of revealing who you really are. When there is no audience, what do? When nobody is encouraging you, do you continue? When nobody is reminding you of your goals, do you stay committed? Those questions matter because character is developed when nobody is watching. In a noisy world filled with distractions, solitude can become one of your greatest teachers. It gives you time to think. It gives you time to reflect. It gives you time to evaluate where you are and where you're going. Many people are busy, but very few people take time to truly think. And yet, thoughtful reflection is often where breakthroughs begin. During quiet seasons, you can sharpen your skills. You can improve your mindset. You can strengthen your habits. You can prepare for opportunities that haven't arrived yet. What appears to be loneliness from the outside may actually be preparation on the inside. I've often noticed that people who become extraordinary learn how to use their alone time wisely. They don't waste it. They invest it. They read. They learn. They grow. They prepare. While others are seeking constant entertainment, they are building themselves. And one day, when opportunity finally arrives, people look at their success and call it luck. But it wasn't luck. It was the result of countless unseen hours spent growing in private. So if you're currently in a season where the road feels lonely, don't assume you're lost. Don't assume you're failing. Don't assume you've been forgotten. You may simply be in a season of preparation because some of the strongest versions of yourself are created during the moments when nobody is there to cheer you on. And sometimes the greatest growth happens when you're standing alone. And finally, after all the lessons we've discussed, taking responsibility, becoming self-reliant, acting before you're ready, developing discipline, and growing through seasons of solitude. You arrive at perhaps the most important realization of all. The person you've been waiting for is you. Now that's a powerful thought, because many people spend years searching for a hero. They're waiting for someone stronger, smarter, wealthier, more connected, or more experienced to come along and change their circumstances. They're waiting for the perfect mentor. They're waiting for the perfect opportunity. They're waiting for the perfect partnership. They're waiting for someone to open a door. And while they're waiting, life continues to move forward. But sooner or later, every successful person discovers the same truth. The breakthrough they're searching for is not found in another person. It's found in their own decision to become more than they are today. You see, success is not something you pursue. Success is something you attract by the person you become. That means your future improves when you improve. Your opportunities expand when your skills expand. Your confidence grows when your character grows. The marketplace rewards value. Life rewards growth. And both begin with personal development. So instead of asking, who is going to help me? Ask, who do I need to become? That's a much more powerful question. Because when you ask that question, your focus shifts away from circumstances and toward growth. You stop looking outward and start looking inward. You begin developing the habits that successful people practice every day. You begin improving your communication. You begin strengthening your mindset. You begin expanding your knowledge. You begin becoming more disciplined, more focused, more dependable, and more resilient. And here's something remarkable. As you grow, the opportunities you once dreamed about begin to notice you. Not because the world suddenly changed, because you changed. The person who once felt powerless now feels capable. The person who once doubted themselves now trusts themselves. The person who once waited for permission now creates momentum. And the greatest part of this transformation is that nobody can do it for you. Someone can inspire you. Someone can teach you. Someone can encourage you. But nobody can become you for you. That responsibility belongs entirely to you. That's why personal growth is one of the most rewarding journeys you'll ever take. Every improvement creates another possibility. Every lesson creates another opportunity. Every challenge overcome reveals a stronger version of yourself. And when you continue that process long enough, something extraordinary happens. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances. You stop seeing yourself as someone who needs rescuing. You stop waiting for life to happen. Instead, you become the kind of person who makes things happen. You become the leader of your own life. You become the example you've been searching for. You become the source of strength you once hoped to find in others. And one day you'll look back and realize that the answer was never outside of you. The answer was the person you chose to become, because nobody is coming. And that's exactly why your future is still in your hands. My friend, if there's one idea I hope you carry with you today, it's this. Your life begins to change the moment you stop waiting. Stop waiting for someone to believe in you before you believe in yourself. Stop waiting for perfect conditions before you take the first step. Stop waiting for motivation before you go to work on your dreams. Stop waiting for someone else to build the future that only you can create. The truth is, life rewards action. Life rewards courage. Life rewards responsibility. And most of all, life rewards the person who decides to move forward regardless of circumstances. There will be challenges ahead. There will be setbacks. There will be days when the road feels lonely and the progress feels slow. But remember this, every great achievement was once invisible. Every successful person was once uncertain. Every champion was once a beginner. The difference is they kept going. They didn't wait for rescue. They didn't wait for permission. They didn't wait for certainty. They made a decision, and then they honored that decision, day after day after day. And now it's your turn. The future you've imagined is not waiting for someone else to create it. The opportunities you seek are not hiding from you. The strength you need is already within you, waiting to be developed through action, discipline, and persistence. Years from now, you'll either look back with pride because you took control of your life, or you'll look back with regret because you kept waiting. Make the decision today. Take responsibility. Trust yourself. Take the first step. Stay disciplined. Grow through the lonely seasons. Become the person you were meant to be, because nobody is coming. And the moment you truly understand that is the moment you discover just how powerful you really are. The world changes for the person who stops waiting, starts acting, and takes full responsibility for their future. Nobody is coming, and that's not bad news. It's the best news you'll ever hear, because it means the power has been yours all along.